Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me for having been invited to the 14th Daily Sustainable Summit. I would like to deeply thank TERI and its dedicated staff and my good friend Dr. Pachauri, the Director General of TERI, for the warm hospitality extended to me. I would like to also thank the Government of India for facilitating my visit at a very short notice. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot overemphasize the significance of this event today, especially this year, 2014, 5th of February, or 6th of February. And the theme cannot be more important: attaining energy, water, and food security for all. It's a huge theme that needs to be discussed and cannot possibly be talked about in 5 minutes as we are talking here. This gathering is providing an avenue to share and nurture sustainable development issues, critical priorities, potential collaboration between stakeholders, governments, business, research, and academia, and, of course, civil society. Defining a collective roadmap. That's very important. It is not just an urgent need, but an urgent must. Not an urgent need, but an urgent must. And duty by which human society can and should attain the path of sustainable development. The South Asian region is home to over 2 billion people and rapidly growing. Moreover, this region is also one of the most impoverished in the world today. The outcome of this event could possibly provide essential ingredients for national, regional, and global development thought process, as well as realistic and practical actions. Ladies and gentlemen, fair and equitable access to energy, water, and food are among the top priorities considering the current situation in the region and the world as a whole. Access to energy is very limited, which is a key impediment to regional development. While there could be a basic access to lighting and space heating, the energy demand for enterprise development is largely unmet across the SAARC member states, the SAARC region, which is comprised of 8 countries and have a population of over 1.5 billion people. It is estimated that across the SAARC nations, roughly 30% of populations are without access to electricity, and if one considers access to electricity for productive applications, this number could well be doubled. This situation is not acceptable and calls for rapid remedial action. As you all know, water is not forever. Water is finite, and a fundamental requirement in ensuring agricultural productivity and food security. Water has already become a major source of conflicts, both internally as well as transboundary issues. We saw the example between our neighbors to the north 3 years ago. They almost went to war. And the wars of tomorrow may not be about oil and other things, it'll be about fresh drinking water. While the availability of fresh water resource is not a problem per se, the SAARC member region has failed to conserve adequately, leading not only to water shortages in the dry season, but increased topsoil runoff as well. This has caused flash floods and several disasters across the region. Freshwater ecosystems in the region have been dramatically degraded, impacting livelihood, food security of tens of millions of people in this region. Most of the rivers and distributaries are already contaminated at levels which would require a huge concerted effort to restore to an acceptable level. As the old saying goes, better take the medicine now than to have surgery later. If people's proximity is considered, and I'm not talking about Antarctica and the North Pole, this region contains the highest cryospheric reserve on the mountaintops, which is one of the vital signs of the state of the health of our planet. We would require effective partnership and collaboration for the sustainable management of freshwater ecosystems. The SARC region is characterized by some of the most formidable mountain systems in the world. The water stored in the glaciers, together with the rainwater, cause serious soil erosion and increasingly frequent flooding in the mountains and foothill areas, as well as the real dangers of glacial bursts. Loss of topsoil reduces agricultural productivity, while disasters like floods, flash floods, landslides, mudslides, and coastal flooding cause detrimental, and as you know, more often than not, fatal damages to life and property. Interpretation of access should be holistic and should also denote availability and utilization of energy, water, and food by the community and for all. The impacts of climate change are very visible in the region in the forms of erratic weather patterns. I'm sure all of you have seen it in Africa, here in India. We saw it in the Philippines. Distinguished Minister Commissioners here. Very recently, very tragic, we saw the events there. We have seen prolonged droughts, catastrophic floodings, and the adverse impacts of climate change have begun to affect agricultural productivity, which we all know. I want to say something. There are some people out there, without naming where they are, I'm at a total loss to hear from some quarters that climate change is a fabrication. I say to those skeptics, please come and see my country and see the effects and ravages that climate change is having in my country and on my people. So what is the way forward? At the national level, a realistic and implementable sustainable development vision, realistic and implementable master plan for water, energy, and food security, community, public-private partnership. As cross-cutting measures, energy security needs to be highlighted. This will reduce the rate of deforestation, enhance productive applications, and sustain livelihoods. The benefits can be seen over time in lower incidence of extreme events, better forest management, among many other things. In the long term, fair and sustainable and equitable access to electricity improves the education and health standards as well. Technology has a powerful role to play in the response to the threats of resource scarcity. From management of extreme events through advanced warning measures to modern irrigation techniques such as sprinkler or drip irrigation, to instantaneous monitoring and reporting of water, air, and soil quality, technology must be used liberally to bring robust and timely solutions to the planning table. At the regional level, utilization of existing mechanisms such as the SARC-HIP, confidence building measures on disaster management under the Istanbul process. Beyond the region, at the global level, South-South cooperation, and of course the Rio Conventions, as you fully know, such as the UNFCCC, CBD, and UNCCD, as well as the North-South dialogue and other fora. Post-2015 development agenda. This process provides us a unique opportunity to identify our country priorities and also to identify areas for regional collaboration. It would be worthwhile to look at practical collaboration potential between not only SARC countries on these three subjects that we are covering, the heading is there, of our discussion today for this region and at the global level as well. My most distinguished colleagues and fellow speakers who are here, I'm sure will further elaborate on these issues during the course of this summit, which will go beyond my narrow and limited statement and which will cover similar problems in the rest of the Asia-Pacific Rim, Africa, Central and South America, small island states, as well as Europe and North America. Once again, I would like to deeply thank TERI for providing one of the most important events through the annual Delhi Sustainable Development Summit, which affects each and every one living on our planet today, as well as paving the way for a better future, not only for us, but for the future generations to come through the utilization of sustainable development. I will end my statement here by quoting the great Mahatma Gandhi, who summed up sustainable development in a simple but yet a very powerful sentence. Quote, "Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, let us learn from that. Let us be humble. Thank you very much indeed for your kind attention and patience.